Hi! Today we're going to make pasta dough. And don't you hate it when looking up how to make pasta dough on the internet? You always end up with Nana's recipe, using Italian spoons as a measurement and making way too much because you keep adding water and flour to get the right consistency. And what is the right consistency? And you're probably wondering what an Italian spoon is. So enough talking and let's get started. Most recipes I find on the internet use Italian spoons or cups as a measurement. The problem with this is that there's a 20% error margin when scooping up your flour. And you're probably wondering what an Italian spoon is. Well, I'll show you. This is an Italian spoon. But also, this is an Italian spoon. And this is an Italian spoon. So whatever you pick up is an Italian spoon. Who can work like that? When I started out to make pasta, I didn't know what the final consistency should be. And all the recipes state for 3 eggs, for example. But not all eggs are the same size. Some are large, some are small, so they contain different amounts of fluids in them. So sometimes the dough is too wet and sometimes the dough is too dry. But what should it be? So let's start with the flour. The best is to get 00 flour, like this one. But if you don't have it or it's too expensive, you can use normal flour too. Then we have this flour. This is called semolina flour. This is a lot coarser in structure, like grits. I use it when rolling out or kneading dough because unlike white flour, this doesn't give dust stuff all over the place. Next, use a machine if you have it. It's easiest to use a stand mixer like this. Just put in the ingredients, let it mix and knead for 8 minutes and you're done. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can also use a food processor. Just put in all the ingredients in the food processor and mix until it's all combined and becomes sort of a ball. Then you flour your work surface with semolina, knead the dough for at least 5 minutes and then let it rest in the refrigerator. And if you don't have either, use a large mixing bowl, like for instance this one. Put in all your ingredients and mix them up in the bowl. It prevents the flour from going everywhere, and if you're not careful, the fluids can even run off the counter on the floor. I'll be using the stand mixer because I'm lazy. To make the perfect dough, you weigh out all ingredients, also the eggs. The rule of thumb is 1 large egg per 100 grams of flour. A large egg is about 60 grams of fluids. But not all fluids are the same. An egg yolk contains about 48% water, 70% of protein and 33% of fat. An egg white, on the other hand, contains about 90% of water. So you can make an all egg yolk pasta that contains a lot of fat. And you do need some fat to make silky dough, but fat also makes the gluten and the protein not bond very well. They get like a slippery. You get a delicious dough, but because of the fat you cannot roll it either really thin, so it's not suitable for everything. The same with adding olive oil to the dough. This makes tougher and less elastic dough. I also put salt in my dough. This is not necessary, but prevents over-seasoning the sauce. When you cook pasta, the water needs to be very salty. It should taste like seawater. But the problem is, when you use the starchy water in your sauce, you risk over-seasoning. The problem with this is, when you use starchy water for your sauce, you risk over-seasoning your sauce because the water is very salty. If you put salt in your pasta itself, you don't have to put as much salt in the water, so you have less risk of over-seasoning your sauce later. Now for the recipe. For 4 portions we need the following. 3 large eggs, about 60 grams each. And because the eggs vary in weight, depending on the size, we will weigh the eggs first and calculate the amount of flour we need to add. You can't go wrong that way. First we put in 3 whole eggs, and that should be in the ballpark of about 180 grams. So Turn it on. 0 grams. Hey, surprise there. So we have, I don't know if you see it, 170 grams of egg. Now we need to multiply that by 1.6 to get the amount of flour to add. And that should be around 300 grams. So let's see. 170 times 1.6 is 272 grams of flour. So now we weigh out 272 grams of flour. 272 grams of flour. As you can see, it should be, the recipe states for different amounts because my eggs weigh less, so we need less flour. That way you never go wrong. 272 Italian spoons of flour. Mm. 270, ooh, almost there. 75, oh, bit off. 72. Now add 5 grams of salt. And it's about 1 teaspoon, but then again, half just a teaspoon, so we'll see. But this is about a teaspoon, and that is 4 grams, 5 grams. So now you know this amount of salt is a teaspoon. I'll be using the stand mixer because I'm lazy. And I just attached the dough hook, and now I'm gonna insert all the ingredients and start mixing. So first in with the flour, then the salt, a little bit like this. Come on, go in, and then in with the eggs. Turn on the mixer, set the time for 8 minutes, this, and start mixing. And now we wait.
I just told you the ratio should be 1.6 times the weight of the eggs, but that's not entirely correct. If you do it by hand, then it is 1.6 times the weight of the egg, and that's because you flour your work surface. That flour is being incorporated into the dough, and that's the reason that you need a slightly wetter dough at the beginning. If you do it by machine, like I do, you need a ratio of 1.65 times the weight of the egg, and that's because you don't need to flour the work surface.
It is finished mixing the dough, so let's take it out. Good. As you see, it crept a little bit up to the dough hook. Just wind it up. Lightly flour your surface. And as you see, no dust. Put it here, just knead it a little bit. As you can see, it's still a little bit tacky. Not too much, just a small bit. And that's the consistency you want. But now, we'll just sprinkle a bit on the top. Knead it a few times. And we're finished. Make a bit of a ball. Now, wrap this in cling film, put it in the refrigerator, and we're done. And after about a half an hour, you can take it out, but you can leave it in there for about 4 to 5 days, depending on when you need it. I hope you're as happy as me with this easy, foolproof way of making a pasta dough. Next time, I'll be using this dough to make 3 different kinds of pasta using the stand mixer, but also show you how to do it by hand. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Click here for more videos if you want to see more. See you next time.